Robin.
Hello, Eric. How are you today?
Doing well, doing well.
Good to see you.
So let me just ask you about your business. What is your business and how do you serve your customers?
Well, Eric, 30 years ago, I started a residential commercial cleaning company called Heaven Sent Home Cleaning. And Heaven Sent started out really just with me really being good at cleaning in my own personal life. And so people communicated to me, Robin, I really think this is a gift you have. And I really think it's something that you need to share with the world. And I really thought that was just ludicrous, to be honest. But I went to the St. Thomas College of Entrepreneurship and got a mentor. And she taught me about marketing and how to reach my market, who my target market even was, because I had no idea. I just had this really good skill. And so I took $20 and I went to the Dollar Tree here in Robbinsdale, Minnesota, and bought $20 worth of cleaning supplies from the dollar store. And 30 years later, the rest is history. I have serviced the whole metropolitan area because I'm not a franchise. So I can, I have a wide demographic that I can reach. And I really, when I look at it, Eric, and I think about it, I really just know it was what I was supposed to do. It was really part of my purpose, if that makes sense. To be a cleaning lady, I mean, people think of that as an insignificant role, but really it's a huge role for people who are busy and, have businesses themselves or have, husbands that travel all the time. So they're really responsible for their families every day, at least 70% of the time. I think that we really help lighten people's loads. So it's not just the fact that we provide this cleaning service, but we also lighten people's loads and help their lives to be less stressful, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I have a bunch of kids, so I might be calling you later. Our house gets a little crazy. Yes, and you have an office not too far from here, right?
Yeah. So I actually, it's kind of full circle because about 10 years ago, I was driving by this area and I really was ready to kind of separate my business from my home because it was, a small business. And so I operated it out of my home. And it was time. I had company cars, I had, 3 teams of cleaners, and I was successful, but I really needed to go to the next level. And although it was somewhat scary, I just happened to ride by and my youngest daughter said, Mom, hey, there's an office for rent in that building. Why don't you look for it? And for me, it was ideal because I really needed laundry services. And that was one of the biggest challenges with finding an office space because in my industry, we wash rags every day. And so when I seen the laundromat was there and I spoke with the man who owned it, he was willing to contract with me to do the rags. So my employees just drop the rags off every day. And every morning we have clean rags. So that was just amazing.
Perfect.
And so it's been almost 10 years, 2026 will be 10 years I've officed here now.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
You said you have a staff. How large are you?
Yeah. So I have 8 employees now.
Okay.
I've had up to 16. But with COVID, it really had a huge impact on my industry because of the fact that people were sheltered in. The governor's order said we couldn't clean. Mm-hmm. And so it was really touch and go. It was really somewhat of a challenging time for me. If I think of a challenging time for my company, if I could give advice to other small business owners, I would say that you really have to weather the storm because storms will come. It's not going to be, I think some people have this, imagination of owning your own business. You eat grapes every day and someone else, does all the daily operations and you just are in this elite status when really you will never be successful, at least personally, I feel, as a small business owner, if you don't have a hands-on approach. Because if you have someone else running your company, how do they know how to run your company? You have to teach people how to do that. And I have, delegation is key, especially in the service industry, because it does matter if the pillows are nice and the rugs are nice and the things that kind of make Heaven Sent special is we do a lot of not just cleaning because we're not a franchise. We need to retain our customers. We don't have the marketing money or, we don't have that huge budget. So we have to really retain the clients that we get. And that's important to me as an owner.
Yeah. No, that's really great. I mean, every time you hire someone, they're going out on your behalf too. So, they really look at your, so you have to make sure they understand your brand and
yes,
how you want to be presented.
And too, Eric, when I think about how COVID impacted us, that's really in 2017 before COVID hit. I really, as I was growing and I had all these, employees and I was just doing all the daily operations, doing some of the cleaning. it just became a challenge that it seemed like I was working 24/7. Like I had no time, personal time. My business owned me and I didn't own it anymore. And it became quite stressful. And so I said, there's got to be a better way. And one day I was in my basement just really brainstorming and just, kind of having like a session with myself because I do that quite often. And I said, I just heard virtual bid. And I was like, okay, I'm a Christian. I was like, look, God, what is that? And I had an opportunity with a customer who was in Egan. I had to drive at night back and forth, Minnetonka, all the different places that I service. And it was just very, very, very stressful for me to have to manage that and be a mom, because you have to have personal and professional time. And so that was an issue too. But a customer was in Egan and he agreed to let me do a FaceTime virtual bid with him because I had to do a move out cleaning for him that I had been referred. And so he said, sure. He said, I got an iPhone. I'll be there in 30 minutes, I did the FaceTime. I was in and out of Egan in 15 minutes where I would spend over an hour just going there. And, there's a safety component to my app, to virtual bid app, because as a woman too, going into spaces, sometimes with men at night in private homes, there's that safety component too that I like about virtual bid. And it really saved me time. It made me feel safe. But not only that, I knew if it was a problem for me, it had to be a problem for other small business or business owners. Franchises are now using my mobile app. So that's a huge, exciting thing for virtual bid, is that we now have major franchises using our app to provide their virtual walkthroughs for their potential clients. And if you don't get hired, you don't lose anything. You're not spending gas money. You're not wasting a whole bunch of time. They, download the app. The customer doesn't have to download the app at all. We initiate it through an SMS. It's just a wonderful product. And so now we're kind of excited because we have, we're finishing development on the clean quote dashboard, because one of the things that the franchises wanted, because they manage people, they wanted to track productivity. They wanted to see how much revenue they were winning, how virtual bid app actually benefits their company. And it also integrates too, so with other softwares that they use. And so we just finished the development of it. So now they'll be able to do the virtual bids from a desktop, not just from the mobile phone. So it's going to be called the Clean Quote Dashboard.
Okay. And the app you developed, you said it's virtual bid?
Yep, virtual bid app. Yep, and it's available on the Google Play and Apple Store.
Okay. So maybe walk me through that, I guess. So what's the experience with the app like?
Well, the customer experience is that they get an SMS text invite from the potential cleaning company or the franchise owner, and then they just click on the link. They initiate the virtual bid where it starts like the FaceTime. They rotate their camera and they walk the customer through the home. And so, when you manage teams too, you can walk into these horrible scenarios just because people haven't had their homes cleaned in a long time. And you really don't know. You have to really, I always say, see it, bid it, book it. Because then with virtual bid, you can see it, bid it, and book it right then and there within 15 minutes. I mean, you've saved so much time, but you also help your team be prepared for what they're walking into. Because when you employ people, they too can be a little, upset if you didn't have time to go because you are busy. And then you send them out and they're like, Robin, this was like the Addams Family. And I did Angie's list, big deals. And with the big deal, I sold 85 big deals in one day.
Okay.
And $99 a big deal, which meant I walked out the door with about $10. And they were all the Addams Family. I kid you.
Oh, gosh.
Because, people, they see this special and they're like, there was construction homes, there was dog hair everywhere. It was just a situation. And that was in 2015.
Yeah.
And I had about 4 or 5 team members quit because they're like, we don't want to deal with this. But there was no way logistically that I could go look at 85 properties that sold in one day.
No, that's smart. So it gives you a handle on how many people you need to send in.
Yeah, it helps with that, but it also helps to see what the state of the home is. So I do know how many people to send and how much time, because we bid per the job and not per hour.
Okay.
So, that for me was instrumental to be able to save myself time. So it was a problem that I have. I solved my own problem. So, and through that, it's been a long journey from New Delhi, India, all the way to Minneapolis, Minnesota for the development of it, because as a cleaning lady, I just came up with this idea, and it was crazy because I really had no clue. As a non-technical founder, it has been somewhat of a challenge for me sometimes because I am non-technical. And so I've had to really, rely on developers. And I was lucky enough to get a really good CTO and a really good marketing director who's part of my team, has been so supportive of me and really helped me to understand. I taught myself so much. If I was a really wealthy person who had $3-4 million to build 2 apps, and I really thought it was important to build them both on Android and iOS right out the gate. I didn't want to just do one platform. I wanted to do both so I could seal the market up, because we are the first to market in this space.
Mm-hmm. Well, wonderful. Let me ask, what's one piece of inspiration that drives you or could benefit others?
I think one of the things I wanted to share is to be aware of the different organizations in your community that can help you or support you as a small business owner. Because I think small businesses are really underestimated. I think that, when you think of us, you think of small. When you hear that word, you don't think of scale. You don't think of super successful. You think of these, people that are on the ground doing all this hard work. And we are, but we're very important to our country. And I think that it's imperative that people reach out to, like Neon in North Minneapolis. They were instrumental in helping me get, the first seed funding I needed to go to New Delhi to even start development on the app. I had $20 with Heaven Sent, but this was a whole different ball game. I needed hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so, we're still raising capital because we're going to the next level now. And so looking for people who may want to partner with us, who want to help us get to that next level, would be instrumental.
Sure. You looked at angel investing or
Yes,
venture capital?
Yes, we looked into all of that, Eric. And I think that that's a tough space because everyone's in AI now. And so apps aren't as, investors aren't as interested in mobile apps as they are in the AI market now. So that's kind of shifted in California. But I've had a really good second round, and I'm looking forward to this third round. And I still own a lot of my company. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. What's something you wish more people understood?
I think they need to understand that you have to put the work in, and no one's going to do it for you. You have to be willing to get in the grit and really brainstorm within yourself. You can feel like you're better than people in a sense, or like you're higher up because you're a business owner, but really you're no better. You have to create a work culture for the people who do support you, that they know that they're valuable, because if people don't feel valued, they won't stay with you. And you're no better than the support you have. Or a team is no better than the quarterback cannot show up and the running back's great. He needs that quarterback to throw the ball to him, if that makes sense.
No, it sure does. Yeah, I guess you never really realize, you're until you're on your own that you got to make it happen.
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah. And you can't quit. You have to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away. And I have that mindset as an entrepreneur, but one thing I am committed to is my visions. And if you have a clear vision, you may have to redirect it a little bit, but that doesn't mean it's still not a viable vision. It just means you need to readjust it. It's just like a telescope or anything. It may look good in one position, but when you turn it to another direction, you may have to adjust it a little. And I think that for me, that's been imperative of why I haven't quit, because I lived through 9/11. My company did, Heaven Sent. I lived through COVID. Once again, that impacted it. And so I look at big brand boxes. We all know some of our favorite places aren't here anymore because of COVID. And I thought this little lady from North Minneapolis, which is where I was born and raised, took $20, started a cleaning company that sustained itself for 30 years with nothing but $20. No bank ever gave me the money to do this. I just believed in myself and created a really good company that employs people who need a fresh start. And we're making fresh starts in homes every day.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I was going to ask, so your core customers, are you more residential or commercial? Or?
Yes. So our main focus now is residential homes, because with COVID, commercial properties, that became hard to do because you know how many buildings are empty. I mean, every city, Minneapolis, St. Paul, is trying to get people back in their downtowns. Well, commercial cleaning companies got hit horribly. And so I was glad that I was predominantly residential when this hit.
Okay. Got any weird habits, rituals, or superstitions that actually help you thrive in business?
I'm just real detail orientated and real routine. And so consistency for me, like I tell my children, I told all my daughters that you don't have to be super smart, but you do have to be consistent with whatever it is you do. Whether you're a cleaning lady or an attorney, you need to be consistent. And if you're consistent, you will stand the test of time because, as we know, big companies are out of business. They had way more funding or capital than I did.
Well, good for you. You made it.
Hey, it's Will with the Podcast Crew team. Spotlight is a vidcast shot at the Podcast Crew Studios in Minneapolis. We would love for you to be our guest. Email us at the email address on your screen below to get a copy of the upcoming schedule. It's free, it's easy, and it's a great way to try out a podcast or a vidcast with our pro team. We do an in-person, in-studio version if you're in the Twin Cities area, and also an online version if you're somewhere else. We'd love to have you, hear your story, and help you start your podcast journey. Thanks. Get in touch today.